Hello and welcome to this episode of my series of tutorial videos. Today's video is on Slutskian substitution effect. Price effect is a summation of substitution effect and income effect. Substitution effect is always positive. Income effect can be either positive or negative. Substitution effect arises due to relative change in price and income effect arises due to change in real income. If we draw equilibrium position of the consumer, you can see as a result of falling price of X without any change in price of Y and money income of the consumer, price line AB shifts to AB dash. This is because price of X has fallen, price of Y and money income of the consumer have remained unchanged. So the consumer moves from this point to this point. This movement is called price effect. In terms of consumption, X1, X3 is the price effect. Now, Hicks and Slutsky took two different approaches to identify substitution effect. Because price effect is sum of substitution effect and income effect. So Hicks and Slutsky took slightly different approaches to identify and bifurcate it from price effect. Now let us draw a diagram. On the x-axis we measure quantity of X and on y-axis we measure quantity of Y. Now suppose A, B1 is the initial budget line. This budget line is drawn on the basis of prices of X and Y and money income of the consumer. And with this budget line, the consumer is in equilibrium at this point. Say this is point P. So the consumer is consuming OX1 units of X and OY units of Y. Now suppose price of X falls, price of Y and money income of the consumer remaining unchanged. As a result, price line AB1 will change to say price line AB2. Now, as the real income of the consumer has increased due to fall in price of X and price of Y and money income remaining unchanged, the consumer will move to a higher indifference curve and higher point of equilibrium, say IC2. So he is at equilibrium at this point, say this is Q. Now here he is consuming OX2 units of X and OY2 units of Y. At this stage, Slutsky differs from Hicks. Slutsky postulates that the increase in real income of the consumer due to falling price let be taken back from him, so that the consumer moves back to the earlier combination, that is the earlier equilibrium point. If that has to be, then AB2 line has to shift parallelly leftward. And according to Slutsky, the real income will be so returned to him so that he falls back on the early equilibrium point and the budget line intersects this point. Right? So that the consumer is neither better off nor worse off. He comes back on the earlier equilibrium point. Now, since price of X has fallen, he cannot stay here because this is not a point of tangency with this budget line, new budget line, say CD. New budget line is CD. Since P is not a point of tangency with CD, so the consumer cannot stay there because equilibrium is established at the point of tangency. The consumer has the opportunity to increase his satisfaction by being in equilibrium at the point of tangency with budget line CD. Say this is IC3. Since his real income has increased due to fall in price of X, the consumer will shift the equilibrium point to this point. Say this is R. So at point R, the consumer is consuming OX3 units of X and OY3 units of Y. So we can see the movement from P to Q takes place in two stages, P to R and then R to Q. This P to Q is price effect, P to R is substitution effect, and R to Q is income effect. How he will move from R to Q? Slutsky says the real income which was earlier taken back from him is now being paid him back, so that he again goes back to budget line AB2 and reaches equilibrium at point Q, which is point of tangency between AB2 and IC2. So ultimately the consumer moves from P to Q due to price effect, and this movement from P to Q has taken place in two stages, that is P to R, that is substitution effect, and R to Q, that is income effect. In terms of consumption, X1, X2 is price effect, X1, X3 is substitution effect, and X3, X2 is income effect. Okay? In case of Hicks, we have learned that a budget line becomes tangent to IC1, initial budget line, so that the consumer again becomes indifferent between these points. But according to Slutsky, the increase in real income has to be so taken back from him so that he falls back to the original point of equilibrium. Again, the real income which was taken back from him, again he is being paid back. So that again the consumer moves to budget line A, B, 2 and reaches equilibrium at point Q. So P to Q is the price effect that has taken place in two stages, P to R, which is substitution effect, and R to Q, that is income effect. And in terms of consumption, X1, X2 is the price effect, that has two parts, X1, X3, that is substitution effect, and X3, X2, that is income effect. Okay? Yeah. So this is enough for this video. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Please do like and subscribe our channel so that we get motivated to provide better videos and more useful and meaningful videos. Okay. Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye.